everyone, I'm Elizabeth Loomis. I'm a Special Events Coordinator with the Evergreen Chapter. I'm here today to welcome you to the first ever virtual Pocatello Walk to Defeat ALS. Today you'll hear from Pauline Prue, our Executive Director, and Nathan Ziegler, a Care Services Coordinator. We're also bringing you a special message from Eric Schroeder. He's a board member, and he's going to tell you about living with ALS. What I want you to know is every 90 minutes someone is diagnosed with ALS. Veterans are twice as likely to be diagnosed with ALS, and it costs approximately $250,000 to live with ALS. The Evergreen Chapter helps defray some of these costs. So join us as we defeat ALS.
Hello, I'm Pauline Prue, Executive Director of the ALS Association Evergreen Chapter, and I'm excited to be here at the 2020 virtual event. Truth is, we didn't plan to make this a virtual event, but when COVID-19 struck, we had to change course and deliver our programs, services, and events in a different format. We're working to keep people with ALS and their caregivers safe and connected during the pandemic. From our virtual support groups to our drop-in chat rooms to routine wellness calls, we're doing everything we can to support people with ALS through whatever methods are available. Over the years, the Evergreen chapter helped thousands of families from Washington, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska navigate their ALS journeys through in-person care visits, equipment loans, support groups, grants, and more. We also advocate for people with ALS in Washington, D.C. We meet with lawmakers on Capitol Hill to fight for important issues, like eliminating the 5-month Social Security disability insurance waiting period for ALS families who desperately need that money so they don't have to wait to pay their bills. We're also working in Washington, D.C. to protect access to non-invasive ventilators. With the COVID-19 outbreak, the rest of the world understands the importance of ventilators, but the ALS community always understood that they provide critical life support. The non-invasive ventilators improve quality of life for people living with ALS and make it possible for them to stay in their homes. And we're in DC protecting access to those ventilators. People who serve in the military are twice as likely to develop and die from ALS. That's why each year we ask the Department of Defense to provide funding for the ALS research program. Last year, the research program received $20 million, and this year we're asking for $40 million. We want this money to help fund promising clinical work to find cures for this disease. Before we get started today, I want to thank all the participants for supporting our ALS families. 86% of the funding we receive today will stay right here in our local community, and all of the services we provide are paid for by events like these. Stay safe, and I wish you all the best. Thank you for supporting the Evergreen chapter.
Hello, my name is Nathan Ziegler, and I'm a Care Services Coordinator for the ALS Association Evergreen Chapter. As we know, COVID-19 is especially very dangerous for ALS patients. As the number of cases grew in Western Washington, it became apparent to us as a chapter that we needed to make decisions about our programs affecting all 4 states. Even before each governor enacted the shelter-in-place policy, we had come up with ways to change our programs to best meet you and stay connected with you. We now offer all of our support groups in a virtual format following the same meeting schedule previously in place. We've also added other programs like our virtual chat rooms that are available every day and are covered by different care services coordinators each day. And we are making a special effort to reach out to each one of you through phone calls and cards to make sure that you're staying connected. At this time, it's going to be very easy for us to be socially isolated. So here at the Evergreen chapter, we are making these extra efforts to stay in touch with you, including making our events virtual. While it is difficult and challenging and exciting at the same time, we hope that we can stay connected with you throughout this time and provide the services once again once this passes. Thank you again from the Evergreen chapter, and we hope that we can stay connected with you in a new and virtual way.
My connection to ALS began in 2011 when I developed foot drop and whole body fasciculations. As a physician, I spent 2 long months putting the pieces together in my mind before I mustered up the courage to tell my wife that I thought I had ALS. I probably had the fastest diagnosis ever, within 4 days of first calling a colleague over lunch break. Denial wasn't really an issue for me, since the diagnosis was my idea. Back then, Virginia Mason was the closest and only certified center in the Pacific Northwest, so I went there for confirmation of my diagnosis. I think I am the only man who has ever been disappointed I couldn't tell my wife I had syphilis. With my diagnosis confirmed, I made about 10 trips to Olympia, Washington, to end up receiving placebo in the NP001 clinical trial, which was a good experience to firsthand get a taste of drug research. It also gave me the chance to be a patient 3 days a month while I tried to live normally at home. My first contact with the ALS Association came at the Virginia Mason Clinic. My second contact was at the Missoula Walk in 2011. I worked with a nurse who had a previous personal connection with ALS. One day she pulled me aside and said that she and several others would be walking in Missoula in a month, and since my name would be on their t-shirts, she thought I might want to be there. So that is how Team Schroeder was born, and we raised about $35,000 last year, and over $310,000 in 9 years. We have amazing friends and family. I worked part-time until I couldn't get gloves on or test muscle strength of my patients, since they were all stronger than me. So I retired at the end of 2013, and I switched professions. That fall we began homeschooling our 3 kids, at that time, a daughter in 4th grade, and identical twin boys in 2nd grade. It has been a wonderful adventure, and it has given us motivation, distraction, precious time together, and the ability to travel and support their passions of gymnastics for our daughter and swimming for our boys. I can't believe my daughter is a freshman this year. We are all learning so much, and I feel I can still make the world a better place by equipping our kids to eventually go out and do great things for others. About 4 years ago, I was given the opportunity to serve on the board of directors for the Evergreen chapter of the ALS Association. I laughed to myself that I took the board seat with the highest turnover. I have enjoyed the opportunity to serve the ALS community and provide tangible representation of PALS at board and care services meetings. We are the reason this organization exists. I also represent a quiet voice in the vast wilderness of Montana, where relative isolation can provide its own challenges to living with ALS. I feel incredibly fortunate that my flavor of ALS has had fairly slow progression. I feel my ketogenic diet, positive attitude, and stubborn disposition have all contributed to how well I am doing. I pray daily for physical, emotional, and spiritual healing, but I realize I may one day have to accept 2 of 3. Until then, technology is awesome, and, as Steve Gleason has said, technology is my cure. I don't ever want people to say I have battled ALS, for that wording implies winners and losers. Rather, I have chosen to live with ALS. On behalf of everyone living with ALS, thank you for your service and support.
I'm back to wrap up the virtual Pocatello Walk to Defeat ALS. Thank you for joining us. You can check out our fundraising progress at pocatellowalk.alsa-ec.org. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. Like us on Facebook, because ALS doesn't stop, and neither do we. Thank you.